Hey guys, so if you didn't catch my last video, I chose to upgrade to the Galaxy S24 base from an S23 base. I've had my phone for a few days now, and I have some initial thoughts and impressions to share with you guys. So let's get into it. Getting the S24 in my hands for the first time, I definitely felt the phone was much lighter compared to the S23, and that's thanks to the new aluminum frame. I chose the marble gray color for something a little bit different than my usual black. It looks more white than gray to me, and looks similar to Apple's silver gray, don't you think? So Samsung specifically called out their change to the front display being flat, and I definitely see and feel that. There's barely any gap between the screen and bezel, and on the top side, they are flush with each other. You get a nice glide from screen to edge. Speaking of flat, we also have a flat aluminum frame. This really just screams iPhone to me, and it reminds me a lot of when Apple came out with the iPhone 4. But aside from that, the frame feels good to hold, especially with the back edges rounded out. It feels better than the S23's hard edges, but I still prefer the rounded frames we had in previous years like the S21. But none of these design changes really matter because I won't ever see or feel them again once I put on my case. I've been using Spigen cases since the S8, and they are my go-to whenever I get a new phone. Not sponsored, by the way. So let's talk about the display. It was bumped up from 6.1 inch on the S23 to 6.2 inch. On paper, I didn't think it would be a noticeable difference, but once I got it in my hand, it definitely felt otherwise. The only issue I have with bigger screens is being able to reach across the phone with my thumb with one hand, and the S24 still passes that. So when I first booted into the home screen, I noticed that the colors of everything seemed pretty washed and less saturated. I thought I had a defective display. Coming from previous generations, I was used to Samsung's super saturated colors. I first noticed a difference in the icons. When compared side by side with the S23, the colors on the S24 aren't as vibrant. I didn't like this change at first, so I thought the display colors were set to natural in settings, but it turns out it was already set to vivid. And when I switched back and forth between the two, there was barely any difference between vivid and natural. What the heck did you do, Samsung? So many others are calling out the same issue, but it looks like Samsung's new color profile was intended to push to a more natural tone as the standard, instead of the saturated colors of the previous generations. My only gripe with this is that there's basically no difference between the vivid and natural option. I guess in this case, Samsung has redefined what vivid means on their displays. Next, let's talk about the camera. The biggest difference I see is in the S24's image processing. Less sharpening is being applied to photos. Not only that, the colors are less saturated and more on the cooler side when compared to the S23. Again, coming from previous generations like the S21, I expected the photos to be a bit more vibrant. Samsung is definitely pushing for more natural tones, which I'm welcome to since images before were way too saturated. So now I'll move on to some of the new software features. Circle to Search is a welcome addition to normal searches. It's fast and works just as it should. I think it was just a logical update to Google Lens and image search. And on to Galaxy AI. Some of the new photo editing features are great, like cutting out objects and background fill. But I don't see myself using them unless I need to post something on the fly. I'd rather do major processing and editing in Lightroom and Photoshop. Some of the other AI features are the new chat assist for translation, writing, and spelling and grammar. The in-chat translation feature is definitely useful for me. I'm not fluent in reading Mandarin, and I've always had to copy text into Google Translate, so being able to see in-chat translations is awesome. So the downside to all these AI features is that Samsung noted that they're only available for free until 2025. So I'm not getting myself too attached to these features. So all in all, I think the S24 is just an enhancement to the Galaxy series rather than a major update. The overall physical design is great, especially with the flush screen and frame. The size of the phone is still great to hold even with the small 0.1-inch increase. But the major difference for me is the shift to more natural colors on the display and photos. It's gonna take me some time to get used to. And I'm not so sold on the AI features yet, especially if I'm expected to pay for them next year. And those are my initial thoughts. Let me know if you guys share the same or have different thoughts on some of the changes and new features. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.